Sometimes, horror doesn't start with screams. It starts with a phone call.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm at 4824 Drummond, Chevy Chase. I work for a company, and we didn't have a call from an employee. We just walked in the door, our husband and I, and there's blood in the foyer, and it looks like something possibly happened.
Okay.
So,
you're not in the house anymore, are you?
We're in the house right now. The husband's looking around.
4824 Drummond?
Yes, in Chevy Chase.
What's your last name?
My last name is Reidy, R-E-I-D-Y. The family name is Prier.
Okay, what's your first name, sir?
Brett, B-R-E-T-T.
And you're at the address 4824 Drummond?
Yes, 4824. Right. The phone number here is 301 654 8923.
8923. Okay. You hadn't heard. You're with the husband?
I'm with the husband. Yes.
Okay. When was the last time?
The last time the husband saw her was 7:45 this morning.
Okay. Well, husband to check. She have a car or anything?
No, she was going to walk to the bus.
Okay. Is there a lot of blood?
But it looks like there's possibly, maybe a struggle, a couple things knocked down.
Okay. Can I ask you guys to step out of the house?
Sure.
Are you on a cell phone? Okay. So with husband.
Boomer, come here.
Is that a dog?
Okay.
Is that a dog?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said some things were knocked over?
Yeah.
Found blood in the foyer and items knocked over. And you'll meet the police out in front of the house?
Sure.
Okay.
Not the room is silent. A detective leans forward across the table. And after 23 years, one sentence changes everything. The detectives state, "Your DNA was at the crime scene, honey." For 23 years, detectives carried Leslie Prier's murder like a shadow. A case no one could close. A story without an ending. And then, in June 2024, an ordinary day turned into the moment they'd been waiting for. What you're about to see is real. Not a reenactment. Not a dramatization. This is the day U.S. Marshals walked up to Eugene Gligor's apartment. The man they now believed had gotten away with murder for more than 2 decades. Before we go inside the interrogation room, let's go back to where it all started. In May of 2001, the quiet neighborhood of Chevy Chase, Maryland, was shaken by the kind of story no one forgets. Here's a look at how local news first reported the murder of Leslie Prier, the day everything changed.
Jennings Prier's colleagues became concerned. She hadn't come to work. They called her husband. He and a co-worker came to the house. They found blood in the foyer and called police. At 11:45 a.m., police found Mrs. Prier dead upstairs. There were signs of a struggle, but no forced entry.
Now, we're going inside the interrogation room. The moment detectives finally sit across from Eugene Gligor. After hours of polite confusion and denial, this is where it all unravels. There's always a moment when denial meets evidence. For Eugene Gligor, this was it. The detectives tell him they have his DNA, and the mask slips. The calm turns to panic, and the man who'd been pretending not to understand suddenly does.
From the person who was there when Leslie died. So there's Leslie's blood all over the place, obviously, but then there's also another DNA profile that was picked up from the crime scene. And we had put that into CODIS, our database from the National CODIS DNA Index System, and it has never hit. So whoever was there, whoever's DNA was also on the scene, has never been arrested. And that's why we were going through doing all these elimination DNA samples to find out, okay, well, this person couldn't have done it because we matched their DNA to it. So we realized that they never talked to you, never did anything, and we wanted to find out more about you and if there was any kind of situation where you could have been at the house at that time.
I'm a little confused. To find out more and talk to me, why not just call me and ask me to come in and talk to me versus have marshals come and arrest me and bring me in? I'm just confused as to why that's the case.
Well, because we needed to talk to you in a controlled environment, and because there's a little bit more to it than what we've told you so far.
Could you tell me?
Well, we're getting there. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to be a little bit forthcoming before we...
I mean, I feel a little bit trapped here, like...
Well, you're under arrest, so you should feel trapped. Okay?
Right, and so I think, I mean, probably asking for a lawyer is my best course of action at this point.
Okay.
Instead of doing any more discussing or talking about it, it just doesn't seem... I don't understand, so I'd like to have somebody...
Well, that's why we're trying to talk to you about it.
I know.
But we can't...
And there's two of you and one of me, so I feel a little outnumbered. And I probably would need some type of representation if I am under arrest, as you said, which I am.
Yeah.
And so I think that having a lawyer would be the best for me in my interest at this point.
That's totally fine. And we don't have to ask you any more questions, but we are going to just tell you some stuff. Okay? So from the crime scene, the DNA that was taken, we actually have a sample of your DNA, and it was compared to the crime scene DNA, and it matched. So we know that you were there at the time when Leslie died.
I never gave a sample of DNA.
That's correct. We obtained a sample from a discarded water bottle that you drank out of. So you were followed, and we collected it after you discarded it into the trash, and it was swabbed and it was compared. So your DNA matches the crime scene DNA.
I don't know what to say. I have no recollection. I have no memory. I don't know what to say.
Okay, well, that's why we wanted to talk to you, to find out if there's any other explanation. But we can't ask you any more questions if you want a lawyer present.
I think I should have a lawyer present. I just don't know what to do or say. It doesn't make sense to me, so I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Do you have a lawyer that you...
No.
Okay.
I don't have to call. I don't know. Maybe I probably would call my girlfriend and ask her to help Foxx. I don't know.
We wanted to try to see if there was another angle or another side to this story, and we know
Why would
that
my DNA be there?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was in the house, but it was years before.
Correct.
When I dated her. I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. This is all very bewildering, very strange. Okay, is there more? Like, you're gonna tell me? Is there...
I mean, we've told you plenty. We can't continue to ask you questions.
if you want to keep talking, we can. But if you want to stop, you have to let us know for sure.
Yeah.
We can tell you more about, what we think happened.
I mean, what you think happened, I don't know. I can't verify. I don't know. I don't recall. I don't have any memory. I didn't do anything that you're talking about, so I don't know. And I don't feel like I can... I don't know how to answer and go into... I don't want to try to incriminate myself with questions. You guys are professionals. I'm not. I don't know. I really do think I need an attorney. I need to use the phone, and I need to call someone, and I need legal representation before I respond to anything else.
Okay.
Years earlier, the Preer family had crossed paths with someone who, at the time, seemed entirely ordinary. Eugene Gligor. He dated Leslie's daughter, Lauren, for a couple of years during high school. A typical young relationship that ended on good terms. He'd once been a familiar face in their home, sitting at their table sharing casual dinners, part of their world in the way small-town connections often are. But by 2001, that was long in the past. No phone calls, no contact, no reason for his name to ever come up again. For the Preers, Eugene had become a distant memory, one no one ever expected to resurface. To understand how everything would one day unravel, you have to look at where Eugene came from. He grew up in Montgomery County, an upper-middle-class suburb where success was expected. His father was an engineering professor. His mother worked at the World Bank before raising the family. He even grew up just blocks from Lauren, the woman he'd later date. After college, he built a career in business development and property management, rising to a senior role. But behind that polished image were cracks, 2 failed marriages, and a pattern of quiet volatility. In the spring of 2022, Eugene Gligor seemed to be doing well. He was living in a nice row home in one of DC's trendiest neighborhoods, the kind lined with cafes, young professionals, and the hum of city life. He had overcome alcoholism, built a steady career, and was in a seemingly happy relationship. To anyone watching, it looked like Eugene had finally found balance. But back in May 2001, miles away in Chevy Chase, police were called to the home of 57-year-old Leslie Preer. Inside, the house was disheveled, furniture overturned, blood on the walls, and the faint sound of running water upstairs. Her husband and a co-worker had arrived first, calling her name through the chaos. Then police found the bathroom. The water was still running, and Leslie appeared to have been placed there, as if someone had tried to clean her. Time stood still until 23 years later. By 2022, their lives had moved in completely different directions. Eugene was living comfortably in a row home in Washington, D.C., sober and working steadily. To those around him, life looked settled, quiet, routine, maybe even happy. Lauren, meanwhile, had built a full life of her own. She was married, raising children, and focused on her career. Her father passed away in 2018, something she believed was from a broken heart after her mother's death. Years had passed since she'd last seen Eugene, that brief, uneasy moment in town fading into memory. Then, in the spring of 2022, Montgomery County detectives revisited an old case, one that had haunted a family for over 2 decades. This time, they had something new, a piece of technology that would finally unlock the truth. For more than 2 decades, the case sat cold, a box of evidence stored away, the DNA that held the answer waiting for science to catch up. Then, in September of 2022, Montgomery County detectives reopened the file. The technology had finally advanced. They sent the preserved DNA from the scene, the same DNA found beneath Leslie Preer's fingernails, for forensic genetic genealogy testing. The profile was uploaded to genealogical databases, and slowly, a digital family tree began to form. One name stood out. Investigators traced distant relatives, piecing together connections that led them to a man living quietly in Washington, D.C. To confirm what they already suspected, detectives waited for the right moment. In June of 2024, they followed their person of interest to Dulles International Airport. As he passed through security, investigators discreetly collected a discarded water bottle he left behind. When the lab results came back, the DNA was a perfect match to the evidence recovered from the 2001 crime scene. 23 years of silence had just broken. Montgomery County detectives submitted preserved blood evidence for forensic genetic genealogy. A digital family tree began to form, and a lead quietly emerged. To confirm it, they needed fresh DNA. On June 9, 2024, investigators discreetly collected a discarded water bottle at Dulles International Airport and rushed it to the lab. The result came back, a perfect match to the DNA recovered in 2001, including the sample found beneath Leslie Preer's fingernails. With that confirmation, a judge signed the warrant on June 15, 2024. 3 days later, a U.S. Marshals task force arrested the suspect at his Washington, D.C. home. He was charged with first-degree murder and held pending extradition to Maryland. Some records note June 21st as the official custody date. Police announced the arrest on June 18th. Over the next year, the case moved through the courts. In May 2025, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, and on August 28, 2025, he was sentenced to 22 years in prison. Time stood still until 23 years later. Now, take a look at this footage. Detectives breaking down how the case finally came together, and Lauren sharing what it felt like to hear the truth after all these years.
Never in a million years did we think that one of our people could hurt my mom like that.
Lauren are continuing to push and use tools that are available to us that can bring some solace to these families. Look, it doesn't bring Leslie back, but now they know what happened or who did it to her.
Some answers bring peace. Others leave questions that never fade. If stories like this make you see people a little differently, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep bringing you more stories where the truth hides in plain sight.